The first sound was the snap of a rope, then the thud of a body hitting dirt. Next, someone called. They shoved her forward into the lantern light. Dust clung to her hair, her wrists raw from rope. But her gaze cut sharper than any knife. "She's the one who slit his throat," the seller said, jerking his head toward the darkness outside where the body still lay. Half hidden, flies already circling. "Took his knife while he slept." "Wild little thing," the crowd muttered. A few men laughed. One spat. The buyer stepped out of the shadows. Tall, broad shoulders. A voice that carried like a slow drum. "I don't deal in murderers." Her lips cracked into the ghost of a smile. "Then don't deal in me," the seller barked, eager to undercut her defiance. "She's nothing but trouble. But she's worth the price. Knows how to work. Knows how to fight." The buyer studied her in silence. The room seemed to lean in, waiting for his judgment. Finally he spoke. "Why'd you kill him?" She didn't blink. Didn't lower her head. "He thought I was his." The crowd hushed. It was a dangerous thing, saying that word with pride instead of shame. The buyer's expression shifted, faint but telling. Not fear, not pity. Something heavier. "And now?" he asked. Her voice was steady, unbroken. "Now I belong to no one." A storm rolled across the plains outside, rattling the door, shaking the lamps. The light flickered across her face, catching the hollow of her cheek, the defiance in her eyes. The seller snorted. "Men always think they can tame fire. But fire don't serve." "Fire consumes," the buyer's reply came low, deliberate. "Then I'll bind her with a vow. Not chains." The woman tilted her head, gaze locking onto his. For the first time her lips curved, not in mockery, not in surrender. "Something far more dangerous. And when vows burn?" she asked. The storm cracked, a sound like gunfire tearing through the room. No one spoke. No one moved, because in that moment every man in that room knew one truth. Before dawn, blood would fall again. The storm did not ease. It hammered the roof, rattled the walls, pressed the night tight against the trading post. They stood locked in silence, buyer and woman, a room full of men holding their breath as if one word might set fire to the air. The seller broke first. "Pay and she's yours, dead weight or not." The buyer's jaw tightened. He didn't glance at the coins he dropped on the table. His eyes stayed on her, steady, unreadable, but heavy with something that felt like recognition. She hated that. Hated that a stranger's gaze could press deeper than chains ever had. The seller scooped the coins. "Take her and go before the storm brings the law sniffin'." A man in the back muttered, "Law won't touch her. Law's scared of her." The woman's lips twitched, though it wasn't a smile. If fear was her weapon, she would wield it until her hands bled. The buyer stepped closer. His shadow fell across her face. "What's your name?" She did not answer. His voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. Or did he take that too? Something sharp cut through her chest at the words. She lifted her chin. "My name is mine, but you don't deserve it." For the first time, a flicker of heat lit his eyes. Not anger, something stranger, harder. "Then keep it." "Name's bind. I won't use yours until you give it." The room rustled with disbelief. Men spat again, muttering that he was soft, a fool. Yet none stepped closer. They remembered the man swinging outside, his throat opened in silence. The buyer reached for her wrist. She braced, ready for the iron clamp of a shackle. Instead, his touch was light. Not tender, but deliberate. A vow in skin and silence. "You'll walk beside me," he said. "Not behind." Her breath caught before she could stop it. The seller sneered. "She'll cut your throat before dawn." The buyer's gaze did not move from hers. "Then I'll die honest." The words lodged in her like splinters. Too calm, too final. She should have laughed, spit in his face, cursed him like the others. Instead, she looked away first. The storm howled. Lamps sputtered. Somewhere outside, a horse screamed. He guided her to the door. Not dragging, not forcing, just moving step by step. And she, without meaning to, let him, yet her mind burned. He thinks he's different. He thinks a vow can hold me. But vows break. Men break. And when he does, so will I. The door swung wide. Cold rain struck her skin like shards of glass. The night smelled of wet earth, blood, and thunder. He leaned close enough for only her to hear. "You're free to run. But if you stay..." He didn't finish. She stared at him through the rain, her heart pounding with something she refused to name. Behind them, the seller's laughter chased them into the storm. "You'll see, stranger. Fire don't serve. Fire consumes, the door slammed shut. The storm swallowed the sound, and in that blackness, with rain and thunder bearing down, she realized one truth. Whether bound by chains or vows, dawn would test them both. Dawn broke red over the plains. The storm swept clean, but leaving mud and ruin in its wake. They rode side by side, her on a thin bay mare, him on a black stallion with a scarred neck. Neither spoke. Hooves beat steady against the sodden earth, but silence pressed heavier than rain ever had. At last she asked, sharp as a blade slicing cloth, "Why me?" His jaw flexed, eyes forward. "Why not you?" She scoffed. "You paid for me like a man buys a horse. Yet you don't tie me. Don't chain me. You ask my name as though it matters." "It does," he said simply. The words unsettled her more than cruelty would have. She wanted cruelty. It was easier to fight. They came upon a ruined cabin by the roadside. Smoke still smoldered from its charred beams, the storm having spared nothing but a broken doorway. A doll's head, mud-soaked, lay in the dirt, her breath caught. Children. He dismounted first, scanning the wreckage. "Raiders," he muttered. "They've been riding east." She stayed in the saddle, eyes locked on the blackened ruin. Memory stabbed, screams, fire, a small hand torn from hers years ago. She gripped the reins until her knuckles burned. He turned back, saw her face, stilled. "You've seen this before." She swallowed hard, forced her voice steady. "Everyone has. If they've lived long enough." He studied her, but she refused his gaze. Better he think her cold than see the cracks. He walked closer to the wreck. Amid the ashes, he bent and pulled something out. A woman's ring, half melted. He turned it in his hand before slipping it into his coat. She frowned. "Yours?" He didn't look at her. Was. The silence that followed was heavier than the smoke. Loss recognized loss, though neither spoke it aloud. She finally slid down from the horse. Mud sucked at her boots. She approached the doll's head, knelt, touched it with fingers she hated for trembling. His voice came low behind her. "You burn bright, but you carry ashes too." Her throat tightened. "And you think vows will save us from fire?" "No," he said. "But vows might keep us walking through it." She turned, anger flaring sharper than grief. "What do you want from me? Gratitude, trust, a future?" His eyes met hers, steady as stone. "Survival." "For both of us," she laughed then, hard, bitter. "Survival has a price." "You'll bleed it soon enough." He didn't answer, only walked to his stallion, mounted again. "Come, the raiders won't be far." And blood's already waiting. Her heart pounded. She wanted to run, vanish into the horizon, but the cabin, the doll, the memory of a hand lost in flames rooted her to him. She mounted her mare, fell in beside him once more. And as they rode from the ashes, the wind carried a sound neither of them missed, distant hoofbeats, echoing across the plains like war drums. The storm was gone, but something worse was coming. The hoofbeats grew louder until the earth itself seemed to tremble. Raiders, they had little time. The ruined barn offered thin shelter, its walls half collapsed, its roof open to the stars. He dismounted first, pulling his rifle free, eyes sharp, breath steady. She slid down after him, knife hidden in her palm. The weight of it was familiar, comforting. "If he falters, I'll cut free." "I always do." He caught the glint of steel in her hand. "You planning to stab me before they get the chance?" Her jaw tightened. "If I must." His gaze held hers, not with anger, but with a strange, weary understanding. "Do it after, not before." That disarmed her more than a grip on her wrist ever could. The first raider burst into view, a shadow on horseback, torch blazing. More followed, circling, shouting war cries that bled into the night. She pressed her back against the barn wall, heart hammering. The smell of smoke, the sound of screams. It was the past dragging her down into fire again. No. Not again. He crouched beside her, rifle steady. "You've seen this before," she whispered through clenched teeth. "I lost a child that night," his breath caught. A beat of silence. Then softly, "So did I." Their eyes locked. The truth lay bare between them. Two graves, two ghosts, the same fire consuming different lives. A shout. A torch hurled into the barn straw. Flames caught fast and hungry. He cursed, fired a shot, one raider fell. Another surged closer. She lunged, her knife flashing, driving into the rider's thigh. He screamed, toppled. She wrenched the blade free, blood hot against her skin. He glanced at her, the faintest curve in his mouth. Not quite pride, not quite relief, something heavier. Fire fights fire! The barn blazed higher. Smoke clawed their throats. Raiders pressed in. There was no way out but through. He reached for her hand, quick, fierce. Stay with me. Her instinct screamed to pull away, to run, to never trust. Yet in the roar of fire and the thunder of hooves, his grip felt less like a chain, more like a lifeline. She spat the words like a curse, though her chest ached with something else. If you fall, I won't carry you. His eyes burned steady. Then we fall together. They burst from the barn just as the roof caved in behind them, sparks chasing them into the open field. Raiders closed in from every side, their torches a circle of flame. She raised her knife. He raised his rifle. For a heartbeat, they stood back to back, two broken souls welded by fire and vow. The leader of the raiders rode forward, grinning through blackened teeth. Hand her over. Live. The buyer's voice came low, unshaken. She's bound to me. The woman's heart lurched at the words, half a chain, half a shield. The raider spat. Then die with her. Thunder cracked across the plains. Not storm this time, gunfire. The night erupted, and as the first bodies fell, as the vow and the fire met the blood of enemies, she knew one thing with a terrible, undeniable certainty. Dawn would not leave them the same.